I think ABSOL is very good. Yeah, good showcase of ABSOL is good. Hey guys, in today's video I wanted to make a short guide about lane ABSOL, specifically lane ABSOL. And yeah, if you guys enjoy this content, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. So why lane ABSOL? Isn't it more a jungler? So ABSOL has a very early power spike similar to Lucario on level 5, where you can just absolutely dominate lanes. And the reason why I prefer also lane ABSOL over jungle ABSOL is just because I think ABSOL doesn't really carry late game teamfights. It's a very strong early mid game character with good potential in late game, but it's not like a hyper carry thing like Greninja or Cinder Ace who's just gonna absolutely carry later on teamfights and help you have Zapdos DPS. So that's why personally I prefer ABSOL in lane. Laning phase is really not that bad, and again you have very early power spikes and you don't need a lot of levels on ABSOL. Again, very similar to like, let's say, Power Punch Lucario. Obviously Lucario still has better early game as well, due to him having better base abilities before level 5. But yeah, that's kind of the gist of it, and it's also very good at split pushing. So if you're laning, you don't really have to go ever back to clear your jungle. You can just stay on the lane, split push a lot, be very aggressive. And yeah, let's just start going over ABSOL's abilities. Before we start going over the abilities though, let's talk about one of the most important things for ABSOL, which is Super Luck, increases the Pokemon's critical rate. So ABSOL has a baseline crit rate of 15% from level 1 on, and all of ABSOL's abilities can crit. Every single ability, even her ultimate. So that's like one of the most important things. So it's a very like RNG style Pokemon. If you don't crit, you actually don't really do damage. But yeah, that's pretty much, this is the bread and butter of ABSOL's kit. Is the having your abilities crit. And again, every single ability from level 1 to level 9, everything can crit. Let's start with ABSOL's boosted auto attack. Very straightforward. It does 2 slashes that lowers opponent's defenses for a few seconds. And then also, if you hit only one target with it, it does additional damage. There's not much more behind it. Obviously, if you can start a combo with your boost attack first, so you lower the defensive and then use your ability, obviously it makes much more sense. But yeah, very straightforward, lowers defense and bonus damage to single targets. So we start the game off with Feint and Slash. Feint is a small dash that has a bit of a weird skill shot you kind of have to get used to. And it also ignores enemies' defenses completely. And it also damages through shields. The other ability is Slash, just a small slash in front of ABSOL. Very straightforward. This is going to be your last hitting tool until level 5. It also has a higher crit chance than all her other abilities. And yeah, I mean, it's very RNG based. But this is going to be your last hitting tool for laning phase. And very important. And Feint is just going to be either your... They do pretty similar damage due to Feint. Feint has lower base damage, but ignores defenses completely, as I said. So Feint and Slash do similar damage. But Feint will mainly be used either as a disengage for you, or as a chase down. We'll see if you like fight here and you find a lucky crit or some AoE damage on your opponents. Then you can either chase with Feint, and if you got the last hit or something, you're like, oh, I can't really fight them, I'm just gonna go out. And those are the early game abilities. They're honestly pretty good. Not really comparable to someone like Lucario, but they have very high damage and very good potential for even early kills. At level 5, you get to choose between Night Slash and Pursuit. I will be only going over Night Slash in this guy, because that's what this is about, that's all I play. So yeah, we take Night Slash. So Night Slash has 2 parts. First is this similar skill shot to Feint, which is like this half moon dash ability. And if you hit a target with this, you get a second part of this move, which is another straight up like dash. This one much easier to hit. If you don't hit your Night Slash, you don't get the second part. Let me turn off cooldown so you can see it. Now it goes on a 5-second cooldown. Also, this first part slows the first opponent it hits. And then the second part has increased crit rate depending on how low the enemies are on HP. So it's pretty much always a guaranteed crit and one of the best finishers in the game. It does a lot of damage. And yeah, also gives you much more mobility, has very high AoE damage. And yeah, this is just the strongest part ABSOL is in. At level 5, you can pretty much kill anything in just a matter of seconds due to this ability. Very good strong clear as well. You can farm a lot of minions with this. And yeah, it's gonna take a bit of time to get used to the skill shot. I also miss it a lot of time still. But yeah, if you get used to using the skill shot, this ability is absolutely insane. At level 7, we get to choose between Psycho Cut and Sucker Punch. I also will only recommend Sucker Punch in this video. It's honestly a very weird ability, but it's super strong. So what it does is you target an opponent, you will be slowing the opponent as well, and then you jump towards the target. And the way it works, it's a counter attack. So if you get attacked while sucker punching someone, you stun them and do additional damage. But they have to attack you during it. So you can dodge skill shots with it, you can dodge one entire attack with it. So let's say you're fighting a Blastoise, he's ultimating you, you can dodge his entire ultimate damage and CC with the sucker punch. But again, it only works on one basic attack or one ability, so the other things will still hit you. But that's the most important thing about sucker punch. Dodging something gets them stunned. So also if you were playing against an ABSOL, make sure you don't attack ABSOL during sucker punch. So I'm just gonna show it again. If he attacks me during it, he gets stunned. If, let's say, it's shown on the APOM, straight up, if it doesn't attack me, it's only a dash and does a bit of damage. So it does extra damage if they attack you, if you counter-attack something. At level 9, we get ABSOL's Unite move. It's a straight-up inline skill shot with a good AoE. And all of these hits, it hits a few times in that cone, or in that skill shot line, and all of those can crit, and the final hit also does a bit more increased damage and can also crit. So it's also a very, very RNG-based Unite move. It's not really used for damage unless the enemies are very clumped up. Mostly it's used for proccing your body barrier, getting a stat boost, and just dodging certain things, right? It's like in, you know, you can't get hit during your ultimate, so use it to dodge things, use it to maybe engage on something. Never just use it trying and burst someone. It's more like a survivability plus extra damage on it. Of course, it can also just literally just one-shot if you crit 2 or 3 times with it. It can one-shot enemy squishies, but it's mainly used as a defensive tool, so just so you can actually team fight with this. So ult is still very important. If you don't have this ult up during late game team fights, you will be useless. Again, you can't proc body barrier otherwise, or you can't really go into fights without it. So make sure you have your ultimate up at the right moments. At level 11, we get Night Slash Plus, which makes her second dash, the skill shot, heal, depending on how many targets you hit. So this ability can heal now. Also, it's a quite good heal, and shouldn't be underestimated. Very, very strong for late game kiting, and depending on how many characters you hit, you also heal more. So it's based on each character you hit. So the more you hit, the more you heal. So if you fight someone in beast, just quickly try to Night Slash through the beast to heal up a good chunk of your HP. At level 13, you get Sucker Punch Plus, which gives you bonus attack speed after a successful counter. So also only after you actually countered something, you have increased attack speed. As you can see, that was pretty fast. If you don't get a counter, here I'm going to show it, there was no counter attack, you have straight up normal attack speed. And that's all there is to it. So again, Sucker Punch Plus is very important to dodge things with it and hope that your enemies, I mean, you can kind of control it, right? If you see your opponents doing a skill shot or some ability, you can Sucker Punch dodge it and you will always proc it. Otherwise, if the enemy is like only an auto-attack based character and doesn't auto-attack you during it and tries to play around it, then you won't get any value of this ability. So always try to look out for things you can dodge with it so you can activate it yourself. Now I just want to talk a bit about ABSOL's laning phase. So when you hit level 3 here, there's 2 decisions you can make. You can either fight for this Audino, or you backdoor their Audinos, which I like to do as well. It just depends on what the opponents have. What lane am I playing against? Am I playing against something like Wigglytuff, Mr. Mime, Snorlax? And so I just, at the start of the game, I look at my opponent's team comp and see how much likely is it that I lane against someone that can bully me for last hits early game. And if I notice they have a Snorlax, a Wigglytuff, and maybe Lucario all in the same team, I will just walk down here, very straightforward. I have very good single target damage for early game characters, so I just kite this towards here, try to get it out of their vision. If I notice they're moving, I already have it probably done. The only problem is that you kinda screw over your lane opponent with this. But I think as ABSOL, you have to be kinda selfish, especially early game. All you have to do is hit level 5. So after you've done this, you can also look for a cheeky dunk behind them, and you will be already very high level. So of course, you set your lane partner a bit behind, but as soon as you hit level 5, you can get your lane partner back into the game, because then you can actually contest every single last hit with Night Slash, because you do absolutely insane damage. So this is just something you do. If the opponents have a very weak lane, I always go for this top Audino. If I see, wow, they have very squishy characters and not a lot of last hitting potential on their team, I will always fight for this. Or if I have a strong lane partner, let's say if I have a Wigglytuff, I have a Snorlax, Mr. Mime, I will also go for this. If I have a lane weak partner, I will look for these. Those are decisions you can make early into the game. And then another thing is, as soon as you hit level 5 and the bees are down, okay, it's already late in the game now, I always look for invades, because level 5 ABSOL is one of the strongest characters in the game. And if the enemies have a weak jungler or something and he wants to do his second clear, then you can start invading. Also, it's very easy to jump over these walls and have like Night Slash set up for you. And pretty much not a lot of characters can beat this character early game if it crits, which will most likely still be the case. Because at level 5, ABSOL also gets 5% additional crit rate, so we're already at 20%. Together with held items, we will be around 26%, and then Night Slash also has a higher chance of critting the lower the opponents are on HP. So you have a very high chance of just killing someone straightforward with the second Night Slash. If it crits, it does, like, for level 5, it does absolutely insane damage. So after the first round of things are gone here, I always, since I know, like, you obviously know when the enemies are about to, like, take their jungle right on the first clear, you kind of know when the stuff respawns, so I really like just counter jungling or counter invading with ABSOL. Another reason why I prefer it on lane, so your jungler can safely save your side and you can start looking to bully the enemy jungler a bit. I've won a lot of games by just getting their second buffs, and if you see the enemy jungler just staying on the top lane after a gank or something, right, then you can just take these buff and go back to lane, very straightforward. So yeah, after the first round of things are done and the jungler is leaving towards here, you can always look for a cheeky invade either from this side or from this side. For better items on ABSOL, we always go eject button, very straightforward. You need that small escape in case you miss your Night Slash, and you can also just blink on enemy carries in late game teamfights, which I like to do a lot. So yeah, always eject button. I don't think anything else should be considered. Now for the hate items, I would personally recommend Scope Lens, Razor Claw, and Body Barrier. Again, this character is all about critting. It's also very important to have a level 30 Scope Lens if you want to play ABSOL. That 2% crit rate or hit rate does a lot. So yeah, try to get a level 30 Scope Lens, otherwise level 20 Razor Claw is fine. And Body Barrier is just, again, so in late game teamfights, you need Body Barrier to use the stat boost you get from your ultimate to run onto the enemy carries. And that's just about it. Not just giving one of your allies a Body Barrier is very important because your late game is not as good as others, so just being able to utilize or giving your allies some utility, very important, so you're actually useful in late game teamfights. And that's pretty much it. I would just recommend these 3 items. You can also, like, if you really don't like the Body Barrier playstyle, you can also look for a Scorch Shield and more like a Split Pushy style, but I would just straight up recommend this. Yeah, also ABSOL's cooldowns are very low, and you can proc Razor Claw twice of a Night Slash, so just very great item for ABSOL. And yeah, that's it for this guide. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and if you did, again, feel free to like, subscribe. If you have any comments or any questions left after what you just saw, then feel free to leave a comment. And yeah, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Hey, jungler? I have no idea, man. This game is all over the place. I wish I could tell you. Oh, I found him. Kill him too. Oh, Quadra kill? Quadra kill.